field of view is more important to VR than resolution. But what if you didn't actually only have to pick one? Well, this is what the Pimax Crystal Super Ultrawide module promises, but can it deliver, and is it worth getting this one over the other two optical engines for the Crystal Super? Also, stick around for an exclusive offer to get 50% off a Crystal Super optical engine, more on that later. Let's start with the obvious question: how wide is the ultrawide really? Well, it's the widest image currently available in any modern VR headset, but for some reason I was actually expecting a little bit more, so let's get into it. Before we talk actual numbers, I want to give you a visual representation of roughly what the difference between the standard module, the higher pixel density one, and this ultrawide looks like. We'll take this car cockpit as our reference image, and here's how much of it you'd see in each of these optical engines. The 50 ppd is the standard option for the Crystal Super, and this is about what you'd see when using it. Jumping to the 57 ppd, which is higher pixel density but lower resolution, it would look kind of like this. Finally, the new ultrawide. As you can see, it does increase the lateral field of view, but also shrinks the vertical one. Now for my nerdy bros out there, let's get into some actual numbers. If you want to skip to the next section, there's timestamps below. Okay, so it's wider horizontally but narrower vertically, but by how much? Well, I did the math, and the vertical is roughly 7.7% smaller on the ultrawide compared to the 50 ppd, and about 8.5% larger than the 57 ppd. On the horizontal axis, it's about 8% larger than the 50 ppd and 33% larger than the 57 ppd. For those interested, the stereo overlap on the ultrawide is 62.8%, which sounds very low, but for some reason I didn't have any kind of eye strain at all with it. That's a bit confusing, so I'm not sure what's going on, but I can tell you that my eyes are happy in the ultrawide. So let's talk image quality. This uses the same screens as the other two modules, but if you've seen my 57 ppd review, you'll know that doesn't guarantee the exact same properties. This also uses slightly adjusted lenses, so let's see if that's a good or a bad thing. In terms of glare, there's absolutely none. When it comes to actual sharpness and sweet spots, I can't really tell a huge difference between this and the 50 ppd. The ultrawide looks really sharp to my eyes, and while the sweet spot is not quite as big as this one, it's still huge and very immersive. There is one small downside, which is distortion. You can't really see it until the very edges, but it's there and you should be aware of that. It's not massive, and they seem to be constantly tweaking things in software, so it might actually be completely gone in the next Pimax Play update. Thankfully though, chromatic aberration is within normal limits, and again very similar to the 50 ppd. There's no fringing here, and even Mura is kept to an absolute minimum, meaning you can still see some, but you really have to look for it. Finally, before I give you my conclusion on which of these three is the best one, let's talk about performance, and especially if you have less than an RTX 5090, you'll want to watch this section. Having a look on paper first, here's a breakdown of the native resolutions of each as reported by SteamVR. During my testing, despite the slight differences in resolution, the 50 ppd and the ultrawide perform very similarly, and this is likely due to the fact that it's narrower vertically but wider horizontally, so the actual total number of rendered pixels is really close, at 39.5 million pixels for the ultrawide versus 39.1 for the 50 ppd. The 57 ppd is low resolution despite the higher sharpness, so it will perform best, but I would not recommend that one, and you can check out my full review of it at the end of this video if you're curious why. That's a lot of numbers, I know, so let's get back to talking like normal human beings. What the heck do all these numbers mean during practical use, and which one should you actually get? Well, let me put it like this. The 57 ppd is out of the race anyway from my point of view, so it's between the 50 ppd and the ultrawide. Now, if your main use case is sim racing, I would definitely go for the ultrawide, because you'll be able to see your mirrors easier, and slightly lower field of view vertically is not gonna give you any issues whatsoever. Now, for flight simmers, I'd say it depends on what type of sims you play. In DCS, for example, that extra vertical space might be useful during dogfights, so it's up to you to decide how much value that has for your playstyle. Overall, the ultrawide is my new favorite Crystal Super optical engine, and what I'll be using from now on, at least until I get my hands on the micro OLED module, which might change my mind again. But I promised you a chance to get 50% off an optical engine, so here's how to take advantage of that. Pimax is actually running a campaign for any orders placed between the 15th of October and the end of the month. Using code VRMANCAVE when ordering a Crystal Super during this campaign will automatically enter you into a draw where 5 lucky winners will win 50% off voucher for their second optical engine. My regular discount links for all these are in the description in case you'd like to support the channel and get a chance to win that voucher, so check them out or just manually put in the code VRMANCAVE at checkout. You'll get a small discount, I get a small commission, and if you decide to use my codes, it's a win-win, but totally up to you. You can also check out my full Crystal Super review here, as well as the 57 ppd optical engine one over here. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys!